When a woman lets a man go, it can create a profound emotional shift that speaks volumes about the dynamics of love, freedom, and respect. Love, at its core, is not about control or possession. It's about cherishing someone while allowing them to thrive independently. When a woman chooses to let a man go, she sends a powerful, unspoken message. She values his freedom and autonomy just as much as her own self-worth. This act isn't rooted in bitterness or apathy, but in an understanding that true love cannot be forced, and anything worth holding on to must return on its own terms. Men in many cases are not immediately aware of the depth of this gesture. Initially, they might perceive the separation as a loss or even a rejection, but over time, the emotional weight of what it truly means begins to sink in. The freedom given to them allows space for reflection, and that space is where realization often grows. They begin to see the strength it takes for someone to release them, not out of weakness, but out of a profound understanding that forcing love to stay is not love at all. It's in this quiet, selfless act that respect and admiration often deepen. By letting go, a woman communicates that she isn't defined by her relationship or dependent on someone else to feel complete. This confidence, this ability to walk away, even when it's difficult, is magnetic. It stands as a stark contrast to relationships where clinginess or desperation prevails. Men are instinctively drawn to strength and independence because these qualities demand respect and foster admiration. When a woman demonstrates that she values herself enough to release what doesn't align with her happiness, it becomes a moment of reckoning for the man, prompting him to question why he would let go of someone so grounded and secure. The space created by letting go also brings with it an undeniable scarcity. In human nature, the value of something often increases when it is no longer readily available. This isn't manipulation, it's psychology. The man, having taken her presence for granted, begins to feel the void she leaves behind. Her absence becomes a reminder of her uniqueness and everything she brought into his life. It's not just about missing her company, it's about missing her essence, the way she added color to his world in a way no one else could. That void often becomes the catalyst for deeper introspection, making him realize how much she truly meant to him. Moreover, letting go creates an element of mystery. It's an act that says, I know my worth, and I don't need to chase what isn't meant for me. This subtle yet powerful display of confidence leaves an impression. It challenges the man to reflect not just on what he lost, but also on why he let it go. She becomes the enigma he wants to solve, the person who left without looking back, making her memory linger in a way that's impossible to shake. This process often triggers emotional growth. For men, it becomes a journey of self-awareness. The time apart allows them to face their own insecurities, fears, and mistakes, often revealing the depth of their feelings in a way they hadn't considered before. She becomes a pivotal figure in their emotional evolution, not because she clung to him, but because she respected herself enough to let go when necessary. In the end, the act of letting go isn't about creating regret or proving a point. It's about prioritizing freedom and respect over control and possession. And for the man, it's often the moment when he realizes just how rare and valuable such love truly is. It's not her absence he falls for, it's the undeniable strength and self-worth she displayed in letting him go. A woman who lets go of a man exhibits a strength that is both inspiring and magnetic. It takes immense confidence and self-worth to release someone you care about, knowing that the decision may lead to loss, but trusting that it is the right thing to do. This act, however subtle, speaks volumes about the woman's character. She isn't clinging out of fear or insecurity, but instead showing that her sense of self is not tied to someone else's presence in her life. This quiet confidence is often what makes her unforgettable and draws the man to her even more deeply. Men are naturally drawn to confidence. It's not just about physical appearance or charm. It's about the way someone carries themselves, the energy they bring into a room, and the way they handle difficult situations. When a woman lets go with grace, it conveys a message of self-assurance. She is saying, without words, I am enough, regardless of whether you choose to stay or go. This unwavering belief in herself creates a lasting impression. It's not born out of arrogance, but out of an understanding of her own value. An understanding that she doesn't need to hold on tightly to prove her worth. This kind of confidence is rare, and that rarity makes it so appealing. In relationships, it's easy to confuse love with dependency. Many people stay in situations that no longer serve them because they fear being alone, or because their self-worth is tied to the relationship itself. A woman who lets go breaks this mold entirely. She demonstrates that she values herself enough to walk away when things aren't right, even if it's painful. This act requires immense courage, and courage is inherently attractive. Men often fall harder for women who show this kind of strength because it challenges the stereotype that love requires sacrifice at the expense of one's identity. Instead, it shows that love can coexist with independence and dignity. Letting go also highlights a woman's emotional resilience. It's not that she doesn't feel the pain of separation. On the contrary, she feels it deeply. But she chooses to move forward anyway. This resilience can be deeply inspiring. It sets her apart as someone who is not ruled by her emotions, but instead uses them as a guide to make thoughtful, empowered decisions. For a man, witnessing this kind of emotional strength can be transformative. It forces him to reflect on his own emotional capacity and how he responds to challenges, often inspiring him to grow in the process. There is also something incredibly empowering about a woman who knows her boundaries and respects them. By letting go, she communicates that she will not settle for less than she deserves. She isn't afraid to lose someone who cannot meet her standards, because she knows that her worth isn't determined by another person's presence or absence in her life. This kind of clarity is rare, and it makes her stand out. Men, whether they realize it immediately or not, are often deeply drawn to women who exude this kind of certainty and self-respect. It challenges them to rise to the occasion, to become the kind of person worthy of such a woman. In time, the man may come to realize that this confidence and self-worth were what made her so special all along. The very act of letting him go may become the reason he falls harder for her, as it sets her apart from anyone else he has encountered. She becomes a symbol of strength, independence, and unwavering self-respect, a combination that is impossible to forget. It's not about playing games or manipulation. It's about a woman standing firmly in her truth and refusing to compromise it for the sake of holding on to something that isn't meant to be. That kind of strength leaves a lasting impression, one that lingers long after she's gone. When a woman decides to let go, something profound happens. The value of what she brought into a man's life becomes magnified in her absence. It's a curious and undeniable part of human nature that we often don't fully appreciate what we have until it's gone. This phenomenon, often referred to as the scarcity principle, plays a significant role in why men fall harder for women who have the strength and clarity to walk away. Her absence creates a sense of loss that cannot be ignored, making him realize just how unique and irreplaceable she truly was. When someone is consistently present, it's easy to take their qualities, their care, and their energy for granted. Familiarity can create a sense of comfort, but it can also lead to complacency. The little things that once felt extraordinary may begin to feel ordinary simply because they've always been there. However, when a woman steps back and chooses to let go, the man is forced to confront the void she leaves behind. Suddenly, the qualities he once overlooked or undervalued come into sharp focus. Her laughter, her kindness, her unwavering support, all the things he may not have fully acknowledged now stand out in stark contrast to her absence. This contrast between what was and what is now can be incredibly powerful. In the silence left by her departure, he begins to reflect on what she truly meant to him. It's not just about missing her physical presence, it's about recognizing the emotional and intellectual connections she brought into his life. The things she did to make his world brighter and more meaningful now feel irreplaceable. It's in this space of absence that her value becomes undeniable, often leading to a deep sense of longing and regret. Her decision to let go also sends a powerful message. She will not stay where she is not valued or appreciated. This act of self-respect can amplify the man's realization of what he's lost. It forces him to confront the reality that her presence in his life was not guaranteed. It was a choice she made, and when it was no longer right for her, she chose herself. This kind of strength and self-awareness can make her even more attractive in hindsight. The very act of walking away, which might have seemed like an ending, becomes a catalyst for him to see her in a new light. Moreover, this scarcity creates a sense of urgency. When something becomes unavailable, its value often skyrockets. The man may find himself questioning why he didn't appreciate her more when she was there. He may replay moments in his mind, searching for clues about what he could have done differently. This process of introspection can deepen his feelings and make him realize just how significant she was in his life. She becomes the standard against which others are measured, and often no one else quite compares. In many ways, her absence allows him to grow. It pushes him to confront his own shortcomings and evaluate what he truly wants in a partner. The loss of someone so unique and valuable can serve as a wake-up call, prompting him to reflect on his own behavior and the choices he made that led to her departure. This growth, ironically, can make him fall even harder for her. She becomes not just a memory, but a symbol of the kind of love and connection he now knows he desires. Ultimately, the scarcity created by her decision to let go is not about manipulation or creating regret. It's about the natural human response to losing something truly valuable. Her absence becomes a powerful reminder of everything she brought into his life, and in that realization, his feelings often deepen. It's in letting her go that he begins to understand just how much she truly mattered. Sometimes the greatest impact is made not by staying, but by walking away with grace, dignity, and a deep sense of self-worth. When a woman lets go, she creates an air of mystery that is both compelling and unforgettable. There's something undeniably intriguing about someone who refuses to chase, beg, or cling, even when emotions are involved. This quiet confidence leaves a lasting impression, as it challenges the man to think about her in ways he might not have before. She doesn't lay all her cards on the table or fight to hold on. She simply steps away with grace, leaving behind questions, reflections, and a sense of wonder. This element of mystery is powerful because it shifts the dynamic and often makes her even more attractive in his eyes. This process of self-reflection can lead to significant emotional growth. Men are not always encouraged to explore their feelings or confront their vulnerabilities, but losing someone important often creates a space where these things can no longer be ignored. He may begin to recognize patterns in his behavior, ways he may have taken her for granted, failed to communicate, or avoided emotional intimacy. Her absence becomes a wake-up call, urging him to confront these aspects of himself and grow into a more emotionally mature version of who he is. Her departure also highlights her role as a catalyst for positive change. She becomes a figure he associates with growth, not because she stayed and fixed things for him, but because she had the strength to walk away when it was necessary. This is a kind of strength that commands respect and admiration. It shows him that she valued herself enough to demand better, and in turn, it inspires him to become better, not just for her, but for himself. She becomes the person who pushed him, even indirectly, toward becoming a more reflective, self-aware individual. What makes this emotional growth even more impactful is that it doesn't come from her trying to fix him or change him. She didn't plead, demand, or try to make him see her worth. She simply let go, trusting that her actions would speak louder than words. This quiet strength often leaves a lasting impression because it stands in stark contrast to relationships where one partner tries to hold on too tightly or forces change. By choosing herself, she inadvertently helps him grow, and this realization deepens his feelings for her in ways he may not have anticipated. Ultimately, her ability to let go becomes a defining moment in his life. It's not just about the loss of her presence, it's about what that loss represents. The opportunity to grow, to change, and to understand love and relationships on a deeper level. She becomes more than a memory. She becomes a turning point, a person who inspired him to evolve, simply by showing that true strength lies in knowing when to walk away. It's this profound impact, this unintentional lesson in self-awareness and emotional growth that often makes him fall harder for the woman who had the courage to let him go. When a woman lets go of a man, it teaches him a lesson in love that is both painful and profound. It's a lesson in the truth that love is not about control, ownership, or proving one's worth. It's about freedom, mutual respect, and authenticity. By letting go, she sets herself apart as someone who understands that love at its core must be freely given and received. This act of release, no matter how difficult, holds an extraordinary power. It leaves a lasting impression on the man, often reshaping his understanding of relationships and redefining how he values true connection. Love is often mistaken for possession. The idea that being with someone means keeping them close, holding on tightly, and ensuring they stay can overshadow the beauty of what love truly is. When a woman decides to let go, she does something incredibly rare. She prioritizes her own peace and her partner's freedom over the fear of loss. This choice, though painful, is born from a place of self-respect and clarity. It tells the man that she values herself enough to walk away when the relationship no longer aligns with her needs or growth, and that she respects him enough to release him if staying doesn't serve either of them. This gesture of letting go often causes the man to confront his own understanding of love. In her decision, he finds a stark contrast to the idea of love being something to be held on to at all costs. Instead, she shows him that love is strongest when it isn't forced, when it's allowed to breathe, and when it's grounded in mutual choice rather than dependency. Her willingness to walk away becomes a reflection of her emotional maturity and deep understanding of what a healthy relationship should be. This realization can be both humbling and transformative for him. The act of letting go also sends a powerful message about the kind of love she is capable of giving. It shows that she values a connection that is rooted in authenticity and mutual respect rather than obligation or fear. This kind of love, one that seeks to uplift rather than control, is rare and unforgettable. The man may not fully grasp its significance at first, but as time passes, he begins to see the depth of her gesture. She didn't leave because she didn't care. She left because she cared enough to choose what was best for both of them. This understanding often deepens his feelings for her, even long after she's gone. Moreover, by letting go, she creates space for both herself and the man to grow. Love that is clung to too tightly can stifle growth, but love that is released allows for reflection, healing, and transformation. Her departure becomes an opportunity for him to evaluate his own behavior, his needs, and his capacity for love. It forces him to reflect on what he truly values in a partner and what he might need to change within himself to nurture a healthier connection in the future. In this way, her choice to let go becomes a gift, not just to herself, but to him as well. Ultimately, the man comes to realize that her act of letting go wasn't a rejection. It was an expression of strength and self-love. It's a lesson in what it means to love deeply without losing oneself, and to respect another person enough to set them free. This understanding often leaves an indelible mark on him, shaping how he approaches love and relationships moving forward. In her choice to let go, she teaches him that the most profound love is one that is rooted in freedom, self-respect, and the courage to let what isn't meant to stay simply go.